Okay, so here it is. This is the Donner Essential L1, and you'll be forgiven for thinking that this might remind you of an iconic, legendary analog monophonic synthesizer out there. But actually, this comes in with a whole new bunch of tricks that really sets this apart, such as we've got different VCA modes, drone, cycle, gate, and envelope 2. We've got two envelopes here. Envelope 2 is for VCA, envelope 1 is for the VCF, and also can be used for the PWM source. There's an external input in here as well. We've got this really cool step sequencer over here and an arpeggiator. And one of the really cool things is actually this comes in two different sections. So you can actually just buy this keyboard, the KB32M, completely separately. You've got hold, USB MIDI, and MIDI out on mini jack, and this can actually be used, you know, with anything, in fact. And it connects using this little kind of piece of engineering here, and it is magnetic, and it does clip into place like that rather nicely. And then you'll see it boot up, and it's now connected. We also get some octave control over here and hold on there, mod and pitch bend as well. In terms of the other I/O, you've got sync in and out here, CV and gate outputs here. There's your external input, headphone output there. On the back of this, on and off switch, DC power supply, USB, MIDI in and out over mini jack. Then you've got hold, a main out, and an external in, all on 1/4 inch jack. Let's just reconnect those back together. So I should add, this is a monophonic analog synth. Yes, there is some digital control going on here, obviously, but at its heart, this is analog. Okay, let's have a listen to this then. It's in drone mode at the minute. I'll open up the filter, and there's our sub oscillator there. Whoa. Straight off the bat, so you've got -1, -2, -2, different shape. Just as you'd want it, really nice, aggressive, subby. Very nice. And then we've got square wave, which is pulse width. Let's change the VCA over to envelope 2. Yeah. Sounds lovely. And of course we get pulse with this here. So if we go pulse width modulation, and then we've actually got 3 different sources to choose from. The first one being the LFO, which is over here. LFO goes into audio rate. So it's slowest. Then audio rate. We've got triangle, square, random, and noise. Very nice. And then we've got manual PWM source. So it basically just allows you to dial that in manually. And then we've also got the option to use envelope 1. So if we go over here now, we can use this to create the way that the PWM will arrive and modulate. So that's really cool. We've got 3 different options there. And then we've got triangle, sawtooth. And then triangle, nice and soft, but nice subby low end. And so I'd like to build a little mix here. Very nice. I guess you're all quite interested in this filter. Resonance. We can actually use envelope 1. So if we go back to LFO1 here for the PWM, so it's now looking at that, we can now use envelope 1 here to open and close the VCF. So envelope 2 is doing the VCA. And in fact, if you want this to kind of interact just like, I don't know, one that you might have heard of before, we can go into the menu here and we can actually go into the envelope settings and we can merge envelopes 1 and 2. And what that will do is means envelope 1 will now follow envelope 2. So if you want it to react in that same way, you can do that. Now, one thing that I do like to do is I like to take the headphone output, run it into external input. I just find it just adds this extra, I mean, it's essentially feeding back. It just adds this extra aggression to it. Probably more noticeable in the low end, a little bit more there, but that's just something that I like to do. I'll take it out for now. We do have noise. And of course, we also have glide, which is 3 different modes: off, on, and the speed of it is dictated here on this knob over here. And if you turn on auto, then it'll only happen when you hold down 1 or more notes. Turn it off for a second. So yeah, overall it sounds really nice. The oscillator's lovely, this filter's lovely. I love the fact that we get envelope 1. You can use that independently from envelope 2 on the VCA. I love the fact that you've got the ability to merge things in there. I should also mention on the envelopes, while we're in the envelope menu here, you can actually turn off the ability to re-trig them as well. So if we turn off re-triggering envelope 1, what that means is that it'll only re-trigger once all the notes have been, once you've taken off all the notes. So I'm holding down that note. Envelope 1 is not re-triggering now. But if I release the notes, and then, you know, what that offers you is another kind of performance element. So that can be really cool. And you can also do the same with the VCA there as well. Another way that you can add dynamics to this is that, and I should have said this at the beginning, but it actually comes with touch sensitivity here, and there's 3 different options. There's light, normal, and hard. And then you've got the curve for that. So you've got logarithmic, linear, or exponential, and even fixed. So if you want to turn all of that off and just have it, you know, all the same kind of velocity, you can do that. You've got some other options here as well. If you hold down Shift, you can choose where the MIDI comes out of, either both the USB and the MIDI DIN, or just one of the others. And if you do have this hooked up over MIDI to your computer, there's actually a little editor that you can get to, which allows you to do a number of things here, such as change the velocity, the keyboard mode, tuning. So you can tune it from A440 to 442, for example. You can change the key priority. You can play around with some of the MIDI settings here, a bit of filtering that you can do, change your clock source, and a few other things like that. So that's quite useful. This is also how you will upgrade the firmware using that piece of software. And there's also something else I forgot to mention. If you don't buy this with the keyboard bit, you can actually go in and you can turn on keyboard mode here. How cool is that? So you actually get your black and white notes here for you to use, and you can change the octaves of those as well. 3 octaves, 2 octaves, 1 octave, or whatever. So that can be really useful as well. I've got the keyboard though, so I'm going to reconnect it. And you notice that I've been able to reconnect and disconnect the keyboard without any issues. It just takes literally, I don't know, half a second there just for it to go, yeah, I'm connected. And we're back in action. So it's not like it needs to reboot or anything like that. All it needs to do is just go, oh, I'm here. Yeah, we're good to go. Right, sequencer. Let's have a look at this. So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to load up a empty slot. So there's no sequencer in there. So yeah, I should actually say while we're here in the song mode, this is where we can actually save 4 sequences per song, I believe it is, and reload those and able to play them live. Within here as well, you've got things like tempo sync that you can turn on and off for each sequence. So if you made a sequence in a particular tempo, it will recall that as opposed to using the global tempo. And you've got play mode here from manual to auto, which means that it'll automatically play through those different sequences for you if you've got more than one within a song there. Let's just record one in. Now, it's really easy to do, and we're focusing on this section here. We hit the record button and we've got the options of putting in ties, rests, and these are our steps that we have here. And so for each step we can just play in, record that note. Now it's jumped to step 2 of 2, and I'm going to put in a rest on that one. Now it's jumped to step 3 of 3. You can see that here as well. I'll go an octave, and then I'll go back down, and then I'll go back up again, and I'll put in a rest. And in fact, I'll tie those 2 notes together. So if I hit tie on that next one, and now we're on step 9 of 9. So I'm going to make this an even number. So I'll go back down again, and I've recorded that in. All we do now is hit play. There we go. Nice and simple. We can go in and save that, obviously. Now, if we just turn that off a second, if we want to go back in and we want to re-edit that, we go into our edit mode here, and you can actually edit per step. So you can actually go through each step and you can independently change what that note is. If we just click, it steps through 6 of 9. So, and we can see that there's a tie on that particular note. So if we want to take that tie off, we can take that tie off. So it's really good that you can kind of go back in, tweak your sequences like that, and you're good to go. Nice. Put some keyboard tracking there on the VCF, so as it plays up and down those octaves. And maybe we'll bring in a bit of LFO from here. Let's go. Great. And if we've got the pulse width here set to LFO as well, so that's going there. Let's make it really fast audio rate. Nice. And I think this is where you can get quite a number of different sonic output out of this by using these different pulse width options, by using really fast audio rates. We do of course have pitch modulation as well. And this pitch modulation also can come from envelope 1 there. So if you want to get into that sort of world, you can use envelope 1 for the pitch mod. can get into that world. Yeah. Remember, this is controlling VCA. We can use this while it's playing. Listen to that. Wow. Bit of noise? Yeah, why not? So that's like a really great sound. Listen to that. There's a lot of sweet spots within this as well. Cool, okay, so that's a sequencer. There's also an arpeggiator. And with the arpeggiator, obviously you can play. You can change the range of that as well, so you can have it over 1 octave, 2, and, oh, sorry, hit the wrong button there. And should have hit shift, 3 octaves. Which is really cool. And these are your steps. So take out some steps. And you end up with something new. Now, if we go in, and I mentioned earlier about the re-triggering of the envelope here, we take the re-trigger off of envelope 1. This is quite nice, you see, because it's sustained, it's holding those notes down, it's not re-triggered envelope 1, which is interacting with our VCF. So when we do, we get that be really nice. And it makes it more dynamic, see? It settles down into the fact that this isn't re-triggered. We've got some different modes here as well. We're up and down at the minute. We can go down. Down and up. Oh, sorry. Down and up. And up and down. We was on. Up. And the speed of this is here. And if you fancy it, we can add some swing. Nice. So yeah, I like this sort of re-triggering or not re-triggering of the envelopes to get some more dynamics in there. Let's go up and down again. And let's go over 2 octaves here as well. Just listening to this one here, I'm just going hard there on the pulse width modulation. Because we got some questions about this actually. When we put out a post saying that we was going to do this demo, a lot of people wanted to know about this audio rate. So that's like really extreme. It sounds lovely, doesn't it? Just back it off a little bit if you want to. Resonance there, envelope 1, and bringing in that LFO here. to that land? You certainly can. We can turn on the glide as well when we're playing with the arpeggiation, if you want to go there. Off for now. Let's bring that external input in. Feeding back on itself now a little bit. I don't know if you meant to do that, but it's something that I've loved doing. One last thing on the LFO with the audio rate, if you hold down shift and click it, that will synchronize it to the internal clock. So it will kind of create divisions of the clocking, also the clocking that it receives from external input as well. So if you want to have that option, you certainly can. Bit of noise. You want to get some kind of hi-hats. You want to play around with some kind of percussion-y sort of sounds. And that's all totally possible. Get some kind of hi-hats out of that. And I wonder if, in fact, we can also, if we use, oh, that's nice. Classic sort of sound, isn't it? Okay, let's see if we can maybe make a kick drum out of this as well, because we can use this pitch mod, which is envelope 1 here. If you want your kind of later sounds, you can do that. And then you can get to your thuddy kick drum there as well. Or using that pitch mod from envelope 1. So yeah, you can get those kind of classic kick drums out of there. Hi-hats, snares, and all that kind of thing. So it's a really good sound design tool. And as I say, I think what I was kind of really excited about was just how far you can get this thing going in terms of it not sounding like maybe another monophonic analog synth that we all know and love. Oh, so there's just one other thing as well. So if you've got, say, a sequence going on like this pitch bend is quite good for transposing here as well. If we go into our menu, into global, we've got the pitch bend range. At the minute, it's set to 2 semitones, but you can actually go all the way up to 24. If you want that full range, I kind of like it just set. You can go to 7 semitones. Now the mod wheel currently doesn't interact with the synthesizer, but it does send out MIDI TC messages, but they have told me in the upcoming firmware updates of this that this is going to be interacting with some of the sounds on here as well, so you'll be able to use that as a modulation source in time. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Okay, so if you've got any questions about this, any comments, please do leave it down below in the comments. I'll try and answer all of them. Thank you to everyone who sent in their questions before we did this video. You would have seen that on Instagram and so on. Just keep an eye out for those in the future. And yeah, if you get one of these, hope you have a lot of fun with it, just like I have. Thanks for watching.